being anxious can mean a lot of things. In today's world, it seems like everybody suffers from anxiety. And let me tell you why. The reason why you're suffering from anxiety is because just before you popped into this screen to watch me here, what were you doing? You were scrolling and you were getting too much information. Anxiety in today's world is information overload, and you feel anxious because normally you think it's something in your life, so you try to avoid the anxiety by this, maybe watching me to tune out what's making you anxious in your life. But usually you're scrolling and you're flipping through. You probably already gave up on this video, and if you didn't, keep watching because I'm going to help you fix this. The problem is you're running from your anxiety, and what you do is you fill the anxiety gaps with more anxiety. Because if it's something that you're procrastinating on, obviously sitting on your phone and not doing it isn't going to help anything. Let's get that squared away right away. That just doesn't make any sense. But if you're just feeling anxious a lot, at night especially, you have a hard time sleeping, getting up is interesting, and then your whole day is anxious and anxiety provoking and anxiety ridden, it's right here, man. I'm telling you 100,000%. Don't get off the phone. Don't even get off social media. Don't even stop scrolling. That's right. Keep doing what you're doing. Monitor it, though. Understand, I put my screen time on a year and a half ago, I think, and I immediately found out that for me not being on my phone, maybe it was 2 years ago, I was on my phone for 8 hours a day. 8 hours a day. And I thought I was never on my phone. I used to make fun of people. I'm like, Jesus, that person can't be off their phone for 5 seconds. I was at a full-time job on my phone, and I'm willing to bet you are. Now I average 3 to 4 hours on my high weeks. I average 2 hours on social media on my low. I get on my phone for other things, but for social media, I was on social media and my phone for 8 hours. Now I'm on social media for an hour or two a day. And guess what? I oddly feel less anxious all the time. And I notice that, and it's not just necessarily the phone, it's technology, it's screens, it's information. You're getting overwhelmed with information. But I know when I'm getting really anxious that I've got the watch right here, I've got way too much information going into my sensories, and it's sensory overload. You're not anxious because something's wrong with you. You're just having sensory overload, and it's just too much information. It's the fact that you got people texting you, but you also got people calling you. You got people hitting you up on Facebook, but you also got people messaging you. But you also got shit going on Instagram, and then you got all these other apps like Snapchat and TikTok and bullshit, and it's never ending. And you have that FOMO. You could miss out on the next big thing. You could miss out on the next cool video, and so you scroll and you scroll, and that's why you're like that up here. You're overwhelmed, you're overstimulated, you're anxious. So, what you need to do is start by monitoring how much you're doing all this shit. Figure out what those triggers are. When do you feel most anxious? I can tell you for a fact that if you can't get to sleep at night and you have serious trouble sleeping at night, I'm 100% sure that you're either watching TV until you go to bed, like I do, or you're on your phone in bed until you're too tired to keep your eyes open, because that's most of you. I'm not like that anymore because that kept me up at night. The TV doesn't actually keep me up at night, but I know it's fucking with my rest. But that's why you can't sleep. You can't get to bed because you don't shut the screen down. Put night mode on, stop looking at screens all night, and start monitoring. And then number 2, clear your mind. When you do feel really anxious, realize it. Get off the phone, stop watching the video, get off of social media, stop scrolling, and just sit and clear your mind for a second. Work through some things. Just have an actual thought without it being directed by somebody or by social media or by something you're watching. Like, take the information out and just be a human being that exists for 3 to 5 minutes. And I guarantee that anxiety 10 is going to be brought down to at least a 7 or a 6 just from getting rid of the sensory overload. That is the biggest factor in ADD, ADHD, and anxiety, I think, in today's world, and especially depression, is social media, scrolling, and too much information. Because it's not just social media, it's TVs and screens everywhere in the world. Everywhere you go, there's technology, there's information, there's news, there's new information, and that is information overload. So, if it doesn't have much to do with you, if it has no relevance in your life, your business, if it's not going to help you positively move forward, if it doesn't help your family, if it doesn't help your friends, if it doesn't help you mentally or physically, if you don't progress, then it might be time to start looking at why that thing is taking up time and causing you anxiety. So you might need to be reevaluating your life after you start monitoring it. Start to monitor and understand why this shit's happening. Get off the phone, get out into nature, free up your mind, and feel better. I promise it works.